Hey guys, this is Chris with Kingship Tech. Thanks for stopping by the channel. If you are new here, please consider subscribing. This is a channel all about tech gear related videos, photography for the amateur user, the non-professional. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button, that bell notification for every time I upload a video, which I try to do my best and do frequent videos. Today's video though is probably one of my more exciting ones. I made a purchase, the camera that could quite possibly replace the Canon M50 as my daily driver. Let's get into the video. So what better way to test out a new camera is to go ahead and walk around and give you a live action views of what it's going to be like. And that's right, you saw it. It is the Canon M6 that I'm going to be testing out to see if it can beat out the punch right the M50 right in the face and replace it as my daily driver. I paired the M6 with the Canon 10 to 18 STM lens. It's image stabilization turned on in the camera as well, and this is what you're gonna get live. So I thought I'd take the boys for a walk in the neighborhood around the block and talk about this camera. This camera has more pro features than the Canon M50. This was actually a pretty nice option back when this first came out. It was a fantastic camera. I really wanted to do this vlogging test for you guys because this is really what this camera is for, and this is what my channel has always been about. Finding the right camera, the perfect camera for vlogging. This is going to show you exactly what it's going to look like if you're going to choose this as a vlogging style camera. The setup right here I put the Canon M6 in a small rig cage because that was the only other way I could mount the microphone to the side of the camera. It's right here, and that way it leaves the screen fully visible. Now there's other ways around it. You don't have to buy the small rig cage for it. You can buy just a longer tripod mount or base, and you could do a quick search on YouTube and they'd be able to see what other people have come up with on creative ways to make this work for vlogging with a microphone, because you do need a microphone, otherwise it sounds really bad. So this setup is extremely popular and for the right reasons. This 10 to 18 Canon lens is phenomenal. It is f4.5 to 5.6 image stabilized STMs. This is exceptionally wide. This is 16 millimeters in full frame equivalent. But this setup right here, I wanted to go ahead and give you this live demonstration of vlogging with the camera before I went into the office and gave you the real reasons behind why I picked this camera, what I think of it, and yeah, let's go back into the office and be able to give you everything, the rundown, or maybe we'll just do this in the backyard where I'm sitting down showing you something. Alright, we are back. So I wanted to show you guys the camera. This is what it looks like right here. So that setup right here with the lens, it's nice and little, it's not very heavy. I mean, the cage adds some weight, but the cage also adds a really nice grip. Oh, that grip feels really good. There's the mount for the microphone right there. It'll slide right in. I had to take it off to go and use it for the M50 for this video, for the remainder of this talking part of the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the vlogging part of it, walking around. I hope you guys see how good it is. I did some B-roll for you, all from the M6, the 1080p, 24 frames per second, and 60 frames per second. The question is why? Why did I pick this one, an older camera, to do it? Well, I was telling you earlier, it has more pro features than the Canon M50, and let me show you those features right now. One of the features of this camera that's better than the M50 is it has more custom buttons. So it has this scrolly wheel right here. You could spin. That is the same for the M50. The M50 has the same scrolly wheel. But then you also get this scrolly wheel on the back side for your thumb, and then you get this scrolly wheel that spins around, which you don't get for the Canon M50. So you have 3 scrolly wheels that you would get on the M6 as opposed to 1 on the M50. What does that mean as far as pro features? What it means is I have this one set to shutter speed, I have this one set to ISO, and I have this one set to, you guessed it, aperture, the f-stops. With those features, I can have this up and I can quickly without thinking set my exposure perfectly a lot faster than I would be able to with the Canon M50. Doesn't mean you don't get used to it. It just means that this, being an older camera, still has more pro features than the M50. Custom settings. This is probably my favorite part of this thing. I could probably live with just the one scrolly wheel with the M50 because the M50 has this really nice touchscreen to the side, which is very accessible. The custom settings is really what sets this thing apart from the M50. Let me show you. Alright, so right there you're going to see C1 and C2. Now for a video guy like myself, I like to set these for my video settings. And what I mean is C1, let's say I'm walking around, I'm vlogging. Okay, C1 I have set to 24 frames per second at 50 shutter speed and the ISO on auto, but basically would be able to, you could set it to whatever you want, but I have it on auto. That means if I turn the dial to C1, bam, I can vlog, talking shots, do this, bam, 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 do that. And then all of a sudden, oh, I need to do some B-roll now. Okay, switch to C2. I set that one for 60 frames per second, 125 shutter speed, and again, auto ISO. That saves so much time to be able to switch between B-roll or slow motion versus 24 frames for talking and whatnot. On the M50, it takes a lot longer. I'm gonna quickly talk you through it, okay? I come over here, I hit the Q button, I go to the frames per second and I click 24 or 23, and then I go back and I get to the shutter speed, hit it to 50, and then I adjust my aperture the way I want to. That is a lot more touching and fumbling with this thing than it is with this, where I can just go click, all right, there, click, okay, there. Now if you're a photographer and you're wanting custom features for, like, let's say portrait photography or landscape photography, you can have them set for really anything. If you want a specific picture profile that you have set up that you want it to do neutral versus portrait versus vivid versus black and white, whatever, if you wanted something specific that you use constantly, I would program it to one of these settings, C1 or C2. That's the best part about this whole thing. I love the custom. I mean, it's becoming a requirement for me now, from now on. If anything's going to be getting me to move away from the Canon M50, it is the C custom settings in this thing. And I also think it's kind of interesting, what I found out was, even if I'm on the video mode of this camera, I can still take pictures. I don't know why Canon took that away from the M50. If I'm in the video mode in the M50, I cannot snap a picture. I sometimes forget I'm there and I try to do this. So here's video mode. I'm gonna take a picture. Ready? That still took a picture. That's super handy to have. If you're in video mode and you want to go ahead and quickly snap a picture, you don't have to change your mode setting to go back to manual and then take a picture. 1 second. Another big reason is it has better battery life. It uses the LPE17 batteries, where the Canon M50 uses the LPE12 batteries. That is the worst decision that they can make, is going from the 17 to a 12. I mean, why not just use the same batteries? You get a better battery life with this. There's no reason why they had to use the smaller battery in this thing. I like the bigger, better batteries. They're not much bigger, but they actually matter. It does make a difference. The cons. So there's got to be some cons for this camera because it's not perfect. First one is the flip screen. That flip screen goes up as opposed to going out. Really not that big of a deal, except because that goes up, they did not give you a EVF, electronic viewfinder. When the camera is up like this, the touchscreen is still available, but the aperture, the shutter speed, the ISO, everything is down here, and it makes it pretty much impossible to touch. I can get over that because it does have those extra dials I was telling you about earlier, so I can just reach around and I know what dial does what, and I can just quickly do that and I can watch it change here. The other con, as opposed to the Canon M50, is the Digic 7 processor versus the M50 has the Digic 8 processor. All I know is that there is a difference in when it comes to ISO rate and low light. The Canon M50 is better, just slightly better than the Canon M6. I could be at ISO 800 on the M50. On the M6, I would be at ISO 1250. The Digic 8 processor has better ISO capabilities, low light capabilities than this camera here. Now, that's to say it's not much better because Canon APS-C sensors, APS-C size sensors, they all suck when it comes to low light abilities. They just can't do well. You really need to get better glass if you want to get better in low light. All right, the $1 million question. Can this replace my Canon M50? After my testing with this camera, which is an outstanding, phenomenal, feature-packed camera, will this and can this replace my M50? The answer is no. Here's why. For me, this is again from my reasoning, I need an EVF. I find myself all the time when I'm using this, doing this, and there's nothing to look through. It's all through the screen. I need an EVF. I really like having an EVF, and I didn't even know I would use it as much as I do, but I use it all the time. You can buy an external EVF. The EVF is $200. I think that's too expensive, and it should come with it regardless. I'm not going to spend $200 on the EVF. It's just not going to happen. I can spend $200 on something else that would be valuable. I just see it as a waste of money for myself. I can still recommend, though, I can recommend this beast of a camera to anybody that is just starting out with YouTube vlogging or wanting to take better pictures than their cell phones. This is a feature pack that you can really grow with this camera. If you want to get into photography, I highly recommend you find an EVF for this thing and use it for photography. The prices for this thing are coming down because of the Canon M6 Mark II. So thankfully, because that camera, the Mark I, is going to be coming down in price, as you know. The flip screen, you're going to have that access to be able to video yourself, and it tilts in other directions too. It tilts down this way, it tilts down this way, and great 1080p, and it has a mic jack. So there's really nothing more that you would need besides, for myself, I would want that EVF. Even though this has more pro features than the M50, this doesn't blow the M50 out of the water, therefore it's not going to replace my M50. I'm kind of used to my M50 now. In conclusion, let's end this video, let's land the plane. In conclusion, what has this showed me? Well, that there's better cameras out there. It's kind of opened my eyes and my desire for more pro features in a daily driver camera, and so my search continues. There's nothing wrong with the M50, I can still recommend it, just like I can recommend this camera to you depending on your needs. If you like that video, please give it a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel because there's going to be more videos like this where I'm going to be comparing and looking and searching for the perfect vlogging camera for myself and for you guys. Good options out there. If you consider this a good I mean, you can easily take this because the prices are coming down and use it. It's a beast of a camera. It does everything well. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching this video. See you later.